Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Happy Sunday to you and your family. Hope you're having an amazing day and a wonderful weekend. We're taking a look at some really important stuff for Bitcoin. I really recommend watching all the way through, of course, because it really makes a lot of sense if you kind of look at everything together. And there's some important stuff that's coming up here today that should be very impactful moving forward, such as this support level that we keep retesting multiple times. We have a descending type of trend that I'm going to discuss with you on the hourly. And furthermore, also, of course, some high block capital data. So why don't we just jump right into that first so you kind of recognize what's going on here. What we want to look at is some key indicators. First of all, we got totally liquidated Wednesday through Friday of last week. All right, we already know that as far as longs are concerned. We had those three white soldiers, followed by a green day, a fourth green day, right? What do you know? When the price comes down by 3 days, the fourth day is green. Price goes up by 3 days, fourth day is red. It's essentially what happened. And technically that's not a three white soldiers, that's more like a three black crows, but that's generally a concept, right? So we're consolidating at support. What does that mean for us? Well, it's typically a good sign. When yesterday we had the global bid-ask spread ratio at break even, that typically implies that there's indecision and it wants to break up or down depending on the direction, right? We kind of know that already. Moving forward, however, there's a lot more shorts than longs open at this point because the price rejected off that Fibonacci retracement level there. I think it was 0.786 right there at about 27,800. We'll look at the charts and I'll show you what I mean by that, but that is actually just kind of, that's good sign in one sense, but bad in another. So bad in the big picture, whereas it's very safe to say that Bitcoin should continue lower. I'm keeping our short positions open. We have still a short position open from Bitcoin here. And then of course, probably considering a new ETH position as well. But let's go ahead and zoom in just a little bit and kind of see. We can kind of identify really quick and easy. There's a lot of support at 27,000, or more important, a lot of open interest, if you will, with some open positions as well as some liquidation levels where people got actually liquidated. That being said, though, you got to keep in mind, with that being a potential support level, it's been a previous support for some time, and there's a good chance we're going to break down further because of that. We have a lot of resistance, of course, somewhere up in the range of 30,000, but second most amount of volume right in the 28.5 range, okay? So it really just helps us understand there's some key level supports. I think we do have 28.5 as a pretty strong resistance level now, because that was a previous support range, okay? Previous support flips resistance, okay? So something to kind of recognize there. So let's take a quick look at open interest. The most amount of open interest right now is at 27,500. Okay, so some folks are underwater, some folks are not. But you can see there's a lot of positions available up here, about 27.6, 27.5 range. But when we look at longs here, for example, they're mostly underwater right now because the price action is right down here at about 27,450. So longs are kind of underwater for the moment. Let's see where the shorts are at. Shorts are actually doing pretty good. There's a lot of folks are shorting right at the 27.5 mark. So that's really helpful for us to understand because if we look at the charts here, we can see 27.5 is right about this range here, and we're slowly breaking down below that. We're also losing this trend line, and it's important to recognize that too. So let's kind of just rewind here, go for the daily and work our way down. I'll talk about that hourly in a moment. What I want to kind of identify is a few things. I mentioned this previously. We got this resistance level now at 50 in the RSI. Money flow is coming down. It tells us the money is coming out of the market. As money continues to come out of the market, Bitcoin dominance comes down lower, the price goes with it, and altcoins start to potentially surge. All right, now I say potentially because it really just depends on the state of Bitcoin. We lose a support level at 27, it's going to be a whole nother story. Okay, so all things aside, we're below 50 on the RSI, and notoriously, anytime Bitcoin's under 50 on the RSI, we see poor patterns of behavior, okay? So I just want to, anticipate worst case scenario. We fill the gap down here to come on down to bounce off 25,300. That's a distinct possibility here. Is it a probability? Yeah, I think it is now. It's starting to become one. Now, again, we could consolidate, we could bounce from here. It totally could happen. I've been wrong plenty of times in the past. But the proof in a lot of ways is kind of in the pudding here right now for the moment. We can kind of see that a lot of signs are pointing down here, and it would make sense that we break down further. Once again, we have a lot of volume at this level. It may not happen, but there's a handful of things and reasons why this may occur. So here's something that's positive. We got 50 on the RSI, and we've got 50 on the simple moving average here in this range. Now, we're below 50 on the RSI. That's not great. But we are above 50 on the simple moving average, and that's positive. That's not always a 100% thing. I mean, if you look here in the past, the 50-day SMA, it doesn't matter too much. It'll just break up or break down below that. But it is a distinct possibility if we lose the support level, it'll shoot down harder and faster through that level. Kind kind of breaking that support range. Okay, so to me, even though we have that slight consolation, everything else is mostly bearish, and I do not like the way that it looks so far. The 4 hour, obviously, same thing occurs here as well. We're still under 30 on the RSI, correction under 50, trending towards 30. We also have a MACD potential divergence on the horizon. Again, this isn't significant at all, but it's starting to taper off. Okay, and that's a good sign in the overall sense of short positions if you have one open. I keep saying it's a good sign. I'm referring to the fact that we get to be able to buy Bitcoin at a lower price point and we can dollar cost average. Furthermore, also, we have a short position open as a community and it wouldn't hurt for us to hit our take profit targets, right? So there's that as well. But that being said, we are losing this descending trend. Let's kind of take a look at this on the 1 hour just so you see what I'm referring to. Typically when you have these kind of trends to the downside, they will break to the downside further. Okay, so it's like a bearish pennant pattern. It's effectively squeezing itself into a wedge and will potentially break up or down. Now it's pretty obvious it looks like it wants to break down at the moment. That could change, don't get me wrong, but when you see these ascending and descending trends, it's holding within that, it'll start to squeeze and then eventually break out. A lot of time Bollinger Bands too, you can see them they start to compress and then something happens. If you noticed previously, when the price squeezed itself out, there was a strong push up and the price came up. Okay, we're starting to see that little bit of a squeeze and then we could actually see the price push down from here. Okay, now there's no guarantees on that, of course. There's never any guarantees on anything, but a lot of the things that we're looking at are increasing the statistical probability of the price actually coming down than it going up. Okay, so if you remove emotion from this and those hopes and prayers that Bitcoin holds its price action comes higher, logically speaking, from what we can see here, the data is telling us it wants to drive lower. We are establishing lower highs and lower lows as well. We can also see this somewhat of a pattern here too, where the price action is working itself into a wedge. Again, triangle, wedge, all these signs here are essentially telling us that it wants to come down. Because again, it's squeezing itself in here, cannot go any higher. It's establishing parallel lows and lower highs. Okay, that's never a great sign for the price action to just jump right up and turn itself around. Okay, so the probability is fairly high. We're looking at that. Another thing too, I kind of sent this out on my Twitter earlier. And you can see that the Ichimoku cloud is rejecting, or it's rejecting at the cloud here, of course, and it couldn't go any further. And remember, if I've talked about this before in the past, obviously I know I have because I repeat this most every single video I make. When you try to break through the cloud on the 1 hour, for example, it's my favorite time frame to use the cloud on. I actually have a video explaining how it works. If you were to wait for the price action to break above the cloud and then take entry, you're much more likely to see the price continue higher because it breaks through that resistance level instead of an actual rejection, which we're seeing right now. Because you're not supposed to be able to invest while the price is in the cloud. You're supposed to do so when it's either above or below. Well, we have a pretty distinct breakdown here, and it looks like the price wants to continue further. So why would it go any higher? It probably won't. Okay, so again, there's a handful of reasons why, but the Ichimoku cloud is really cool about kind of helping you get a conservative indication of where you're at. Lagging span lagging span is free and clear of price action now. We have the conversion line below the baseline. It just seems like there's a lot of reasons here to consider shorting. If you're going to short though, make sure it's really tight and essentially make sure that you are not over leveraging. Okay, so it's really important to do that. Suffice to say, there's a lot of reasons why the price is going to come down more so than it should go up. But once again, statistical probabilities are not always 100%. We could see a very interesting and volatile market here in the next 24 hours. So please be careful and cautious. I am more so leaning towards a short position at this point. It seems crazy to short the bottom, but again, you can only test a support level so many times before it breaks down. And we have this significant gap in volume here where there's really no volume at all between 25,300 and the current price point at 27,500 roughly. Okay, so again, some important things to note. I think we're due for a correction even further down. I don't want that to happen, but it certainly seems like it's going to. And if so, just be prepared. A lot of altcoins are going to be, they're going to bleed out pretty hard. But again, Bitcoin can hold this level for just say the remainder of the week. There's a good chance we'll probably come up from here too. You got to recognize that as well. So that's where we're at. Hopefully that made sense. Thank you so much for watching. Oh, one last thing. I'm sorry. Do me a quick favor here as well. Do us a favor. Come on over here to Twitter and follow us because we got a ton of important information that comes out frequently. Roughly every 30 to 60 minutes, we're constantly giving you some updates, making sure you know specifically what's going on. And it's all about based on technical and fundamental data. Okay, so awesome stuff that I think is really important for you to understand and to be kind of familiar with. And be sure to check that out. So just help us grow that. Make sure you hit the like button if you haven't already here as well. And we'll look forward to seeing you all in tomorrow's video. Hope you have a good rest of your day. Thanks again so much for your time. We'll see you soon.